Hey guys, what are you doing today? Today I'll be over my Super Rugby AU Dream Team for round 8. So, when deciding these teams, I base it off two things. One, their statistics, and two, their influence throughout the game. So, at number 1, I've selected James Slipper from the Brumbies. He was pretty impressive for them throughout the match. He had 3 runs, 13 run meters, he had 4 and 5 tackles, and he had 1 line break. So, definitely put up a good shift. He was impressive within the scrum, and he had that one line break, which is, he almost clearly just went through and almost scored a try, but they had to put it back. But it was pretty unfortunate. But overall, he had a good game. So, moving on to number 2, I selected Tom Horton from the Waratahs. He had an impressive game, really. I mean, I could have selected a lot of the... There was a lot of hookers who actually had a pretty good week, with Penga Mosa, as well as, what's the other one? Penga Mosa and Andy Reddy from the Western Force. But I went with Tom Horton just because I thought he had more of an influence for the Waratahs within the Brumbies game. So he had 1 try assist, 2 runs, 9 run meters, 7 out of 7 tackles, 1 turnover, and 1 defender beaten, and 1 offload. So his stats pretty much show that he was all over the place really for the Waratahs and really just helped them kind of stay closer within the first half. Because they only were losing by 1 point within the first half by 12-11. So, but the Brumbies just ran away with it. But Tom Horton pretty much helped the Waratahs essentially within that first half stay pretty close. Moving on to number 3, I selected Taniao Tupou. He was very impressive for the Reds within that Western Force game. He had probably one of his best games, I'd say, throughout this competition. He had 8 runs, 45 run meters, he had 4 to 5 tackles, he had 4 defenders beaten, 2 line breaks, and he had 2 offloads. He was definitely all over the place, and he for sure, was amazing. He impressed me throughout that match, really. I mean, he had 2 line breaks, which were essentially where he could have scored 2 tries within this match, clearly, but he just, he was very unfortunate with the first one where he broke through, but then he actually dropped the ball on, was it? He dropped the ball on one of them, and I was like, oh, man, because he's one of those players you love to see score a try, but one of them, where he actually had a try, but it was disallowed, and he just, broke through that defense and just put it down, but unfortunately there was a knock on before he scored, but it is what it is, and he was very impressive. Even one of his line breaks, he put up an amazing pass, just quickly passed it out, and just took the hit really. But overall he was solid throughout this match and definitely deserves to be within the side. So at number 4, I've selected Murray Douglas from the Brumbies. He was also another player. He was pretty impressive for the Brumbies. He had 1 run, 28 run meters, 5 out of 7 tackles, 2 turnovers, 1 defender beaten, 1 line break. He won 4 line outs and he had 1 line out steals. Definitely all over the place, and all these stats reflect on what I really want to see from my lock, really, and he put up a good performance really for the Brumbies. So, moving on to number 5, I've selected Ned Halligan. I could have selected Jeremy Thrush from the Western Force, so I thought he also had some impressive stats, but I went with Ned Halligan more in the sense that he had more of an he didn't have more of an influence than Jeremy Thrush, I'd say, but his stats looked arguably better than Thrush, and that's kind of what I went for him for. He had 6 runs, 12 run meters, he had 3 and 3 tackles, 1 turnover, 1 defender beaten. He won 1 line out and he had 1 line out steal. So he definitely helped the Waratahs, like I said, with Tom Horton as well. Stay close and touching distance essentially within that first half. But the Brumbies just ran away with it. And moving on to number 6, I've selected Lachlan McCaffrey from the Brumbies. He was one of those players though who really just, I think he was probably, he's a bit underrated in a sense where he hasn't played a lot for the Brumbies throughout this Super Rugby AU. But he came into the side and he had a good performance, I'd say. He had 5 runs, 10 run meters, 4 out of 6 tackles, and he had 3 turnovers. So the stats don't really reflect on how well he actually did. He influenced that game a lot essentially, and those 3 turnovers were very crucial in the Brumbies actually doing well within this match. So I was selected at number 7. I'm going with Fraser McRae. He was one of the contenders, I'd say, for MVP of the week, you can say. He had 1 try, 15 runs, he had 105 run meters, he had 14 out of 16 tackles, 2 turnovers, 4 defenders beaten, he had 4 line breaks and 1 offload. So his stats were crazy, and it's kind of what I expect from him, because I think he was selected even within my last Dream Team, and he's just, week in, week out, he's always putting those 7 out of 10 performances now, and he's gaining a lot of consistency, which is what I'd like to see, and he's young as well, he's definitely a future prospect for the Wallabies, and I mean, I think he definitely deserves to be the the next number 7 for the Wallabies. Really, I mean, you could have like, because you do have Michael Cooper, so it's kind of a big blow for him in a sense. Where Michael Cooper, he is still the most, to my knowledge, I think he's still the most paid Wallaby within, just the most paid Wallaby. So it's going to be hard to take his place, but you never know. I mean, maybe Cooper gets shifted to 6. Fraser McIntyre maybe goes to 7, and you have, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, he definitely deserves to be within this side, and if he just can, keeps on doing what he's doing, and keeps on, being in this form that he's in, he's definitely has a bright future. So, moving on to number 8, the last of the forward pack. I've gone with Pete Samu. I think that's kind of a given, really. If you don't slot him throughout this week, he had 2 tries, 4 runs, 26 run meters. He had 8 out of 10 tackles. He had 1 turnover, 1 defender beaten. He had 2 line breaks. He won 4 lineouts, and he had 1 lineout steal. So he was definitely all over the place. First of all, I mean, you don't even normally see Pete Samu score a try. So for him to score 2 within this match is very impressive for him. I think in total he's only scored like 4 tries throughout the whole of 2020. So to get 2 in this game is just very impressive for him. All of his stats were all rounded, and he just he put a really good shift essentially for the Brumbies, and definitely helped them get that I think it was a bonus point victory over the Waratahs within the game. So he was definitely a big part of that, and he was pretty successful within that lineout as well, with 4 lineout wins and 1 lineout steal. So he's a solid player, very solid player. So moving on to the backs, at number 9, I selected Tate McDermott from the Reds. I mean, he's another player which I think just had a great game, really. He had 2 tries, 8 runs, he had 89 run meters, he had 1 out of 2 tackles, he had 71 passes, which is very impressive actually. He had 6 defenders beaten, 3 line breaks, he had 1 offload. So he was definitely all over the place, and kind of the stats that I like to see from a scrum half. He was, that second try that he scored was great. He just took a quick tap, just ran through the defense, and just banged it, just dived on the try line. And his first try as well was pretty impressive. He just quickly went on the blind side essentially and just jumped in, put in, and scored that try. So overall he was great throughout this match, and definitely had an influence within that game against the Western Force. But he was. You could say he was also another. Was he? I'd say he was definitely one of the other contenders. I'd say for the MVP spot. But at number 10, this is my MVP of the week. I've gone with James O'Connor. He was fantastic throughout that game. I think this is probably his best game I've seen for him so far throughout Super Rugby AU. He had 1 try, 3 try assists, 15 runs, 62 run meters. He had 4 to 5 tackles. He had 2 defenders beaten, 1 line break, 3 offloads, and he kicked 7 conversions and 1 penalty. So very impressive. He definitely deserves to be my MVP throughout the week. Having 1 try, but also 3 try assists, and all 3 try assists were very good. I mean, his first 2 I think were to Philippe Dangadu, and his third one was to Fraser McWright. So, and all of them were great. I mean, I think essentially all of them were offloads. So it was great to see, and he definitely influenced that game a lot. And he is making the the case for him being selected within the Wallaby setup. I would say he definitely deserves to be mentioned, and if I were the Wallabies coach, I would select him. He has that experience from previous World Cups, and definitely deserves to be in the conversation of the Wallabies 10. But moving on to number 11, I selected Philippe Dangadu. Also another Reds player in here. He had 2 tries, 18 runs, he had 96 run meters, 3 to 4 tackles. He had 5 defenders beaten, 3 line breaks, and he had 2 offloads. Another player who just had great stats overall, and definitely influenced that game heavily. He did score 2 tries early on within this match, so he was definitely getting to my side early on, you could say. And he's always impressive. He's great to watch really, because he's just one of those players who's just really exciting in the way he plays. He's always sidestepping players, and he always takes on several players at once, and it's great to see. It's kind of what you want to see within rugby. But moving on to number 12, I selected Israel Simone from the Brumbies. He's another one of those players who I think I've said before is, he's definitely one of the most improved players, I'd say, throughout Super Rugby AU. He had 2 tries, 6 runs, 50 run meters, 5 out of 7 tackles. He had 6 defenders beaten and 1 line break. So definitely all over the place, and for sure deserves to be within this side. I mean, he's a great talent, and I can definitely see him in the future being in the Wallaby setup. So, moving on to number 13, I form of my only Western Force player I selected is Kyle Godwin. He's one of those players who I thought had just a solid game, really. He didn't really make he didn't make too many mistakes. He had 9 runs, 31 run meters, 12 out of 16 tackles. He had 4 defenders beaten and 1 line break. So, he had pretty good stats, I'd say. I mean, the one that I was pretty impressed by the most was actually his tackling stats of 12 out of 16, but you could say that's kind of a given with the amount of possession the Reds had and the amount of tackles all the Western Force players would have had to make. So, but yeah, overall, I was just impressed by him, and he just had a solid match, really. So, moving on to number 14, I selected Andy Marehead from the Brumbies. He was one of those other players, which I could have selected Tom Wright, by the way, for the 11 position, but I went with Philippe Dangadu and Andy Marehead because I think that's more of a suitable combination there. And then Andy Marehead, overall, solid game. He had 1 try assist. He had 9 runs, 68 run meters. He had 7 out of 9 tackles, and he had 1 turnover and 1 defender beaten. So definitely all over the place. And for sure, he was at the right time and right position just to get that try. When the ball was kicked up in the air, and he just dived and scored that try. And his try assist as well was pretty impressive. So definitely deserves to be within the side. So last player from this dream team, I selected at number 15. I'm going with Jock Campbell. He's another young gun, you could say, for the Red side. They have a lot of young players, but Jock Campbell been very impressed throughout Super Rugby AU, and I'd say he probably had his best game, I'd say, so far. He had 11 runs, 40 run meters, he had 3 tackles, he had 4 defenders beaten, 2 line breaks, and he had 2 offloads. So, he didn't get a try or try assist, which, that is key in what I try to look for when all these players, particularly within the backs as well, but he did influence that game heavily. A lot of his, I say both of his line breaks were, I think, both led to tries, so he definitely had a say in the Reds, scoring at least 2 tries in this game, and he definitely influenced this game heavily, and another player who I'd say has the potential to, shock a few people and, maybe get into the Wallaby setup, we'll wait and see, but, impressive performance, and if he keeps it up, then I'd love to see him play for the Wallabies. But that's it with the video today. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Love doing these dream teams, and like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.